Hello and thank you for joining me. Another glorious morning at Casimir. This video is the 5 Ds of security, or put properly, the 5 Ds of perimeter security. That being to deter, detect, deny, delay and defend. Stay with me. So the first D is deter, and that's going to really mean having a well-maintained perimeter fence. Yeah, so it's just carrying out normal housekeeping, if you like, around your perimeter, making sure that it's secure, there's no holes in it, carrying out any repairs, etc. Then we have security lighting, so that we can actually light that area. That again will act to deter people that shouldn't be there. Signage. It's a good idea to have signs up. Yeah, trespassers will be shot. That's a joke. Yeah, CCTV in operation, dogs, etc, etc. Angry wife, I don't know, you know, but some signage again that will help to deter people. Overt CCTV, so some CCTV cameras that are quite highly visible. Yeah, that again will deter some. I know you're going to have the argument that some will say, well, if you make it look too secure, people will wonder what you've got. But at the end of the day, yeah, you want to deter people. Depending on how big your property is and the situation, you are most likely or possibly looking at carrying out regular foot patrols. Or when I say regular, random foot patrols. Yeah, so there is a presence. So if anyone is watching, they're going to know that there are people about. Now, worst case scenario, yeah, Putin and the Peckerheads have invaded, or it's a zombie apocalypse, then you may consider more drastic deterrence. And that could just be simply felling a tree. Yeah, if where your property is there's an access road, you might want to drop a tree to make it difficult or to persuade people to go to an alternative route, or you might even do it to force them into an alternative route where perhaps you can jump out the bushes and shake their hand and say hello. So that's really the first one, and that, as I say, that is to deter. The second D is detect. So we're looking at CCTV, as we've done with deterrence, but especially covert CCTV. It may be that if you are being observed and people are going to probe your defences, so they're going to find out, they're going to carry out recce and find out how easy or not it is to enter your premises at various points. They may consider activating a camera on purpose and repeatedly doing it to the point that you think that there is a fault and that perhaps you disable it. That's where covert CCTV is useful. Yeah, covert CCTV overlooking your overt CCTV, but a slightly different field of view. And then if you have got people doing that sort of thing, you're going to pick them up on your covert CCTV and they're going to be none the wiser to it. You can buy cameras within bird boxes, or you can install, just buy the bird box and install your CCTV into that. You've also got the use of trail cams. I've got a trail cam, although it's not in real time, if that makes sense. It's put it out, set it, later on retrieve it and see what's on there. But it's quite a handy thing to have to check, just to make sure that no one is carrying out a recce, and to give you more of an idea of what's happening perhaps outside of your perimeter. Driveway alarms, they've come a long way. You've got cheap and expensive versions. Haven't got to just be on your driveway. You can set them around your property, and if anyone breaks that beam, yeah, is picked up by that PIR, it will sound an alert that's actually within inside your property. So that's another thing to look at. A lot of them are battery operated as well, which is good because it gives you the means to to know what's happening even in a grid down scenario. You've also got trip alarms. Yeah, you've got some that will discharge a blank 12 gauge, and you've got some that are just rape alarms on tripwires. So you've sort of got high tech and low tech, both are ideal. If you've got an area where you can't really control access, and although you don't think there's anyone coming in, what you can do is use a strand of cotton. I lived on a farm for a period of time, and we thought we were having travellers entering part of the site, and I just put a piece of cotton across an opening at chest height, and to be fair, it was invisible. And the idea was I would just check that to see if it was broken. That would indicate that a person had moved through that area between the last time it was checked and the time that you're there. If you do something like that, just be careful with the seasons, because as spring approached and there was a lot of seeds, like dandelion seeds in the air, they got stuck to the cotton and then it stands out like a sore thumb. Likewise, gates, you can always tie a bit of cotton to a hinge or to a chain or a padlock, and it will give you an indication of if it's being used. Is the cotton broken? So it's just something to think about. 24-hour monitoring, yeah, depending on the situation. If it's that bad, then you need a security detail that's actually going to be monitoring your perimeter on a 24-hour period. Another thing to consider is gravel driveways. Extremely difficult to go covertly up a gravel driveway. Moving on to point 3, and that is deny. So it would be things like having adequate locks and protected hinges on gates and doors. Yeah, you can have a nice big metal gate with a nice sturdy padlock, but the hinges are just eyelets over a rod and they can be lifted off. So in that instance, you might want to see if someone can weld a washer or a nut on top of it, or even drill it and put a cheap padlock on there, not from a security point of view, but to prevent the gate being lifted up. Yeah, so it just gives you an indication. When you carry out your perimeter checks, make sure that there's any trees that are growing adjacent to your perimeter are kept cut down, yeah, so that it would reduce the likelihood of people using them to climb over your perimeter. A slightly naughty thing, and as I put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video, you could, for instance, get carpet grippers and install them on the inside of your fence. Yeah, so if anyone reaches over because they're about to climb over, all those little tacks stab them in their fingers. As I say, legalities, yeah, it's up to you what you do. You need to stay lawful. The other thing, you can get plastic spikes. They're there to deter cats, but they will also help deter people along the tops of gates and on walls. Climbing over, whilst they're not sharp enough to cut you, they are most certainly sharp enough to persuade you to find somewhere else to actually come in. So that just gives you a few ideas. And the old favourite one is planting plants that are spiky plants around your perimeter. So people have actually got to go through that and endure the spikes before they actually get to scale your perimeter fence or wall. Right, the next one is delay. Now, there's various ways that you can delay entry. It could be something quite basic. With a reel of paracord, you could do a lattice of paracord across an area, crisscrossing it, ankle height. The grass will grow through it, but anyone that comes through it presents a trip hazard and then ties them up. So it is delaying their progress through a particular area. You could just use tripwires, yeah, be it wire or paracord, again stretched across, because if it is people coming in, especially in darkness, then that's going to hinder them actually making progress. Now, a very naughty thing you could do, and this really is only for without rule of law, or because Putin the peckerheads come, or it's a zombie apocalypse. As you can see in the picture, there's a police officer holding a plank of wood that's had loads of nails banged through it. That was actually recovered from a beach, I believe, in Wales, where a child had injured itself. So obviously whoever put that there was a complete plant pot, but that is quite a good method to keep with on your private property if you want to deny people from actually using areas. So for instance, you might have a section of wood, a plank with nails banged in it, slightly buried, or let the grass grow over it, near the corner of brick buildings, and perhaps behind large trees or obstacles. So if someone has got into your land, they're approaching, they can't, and they come up behind, for instance, a big tree, because they're using that to conceal their movements, yeah? If they kneel down or stand on it, they're going to get stabbed with the nails. So that will, yeah, prevent them or deter them from using that area as cover or concealment. The same for corners of buildings. Yeah, if you approach a corner and you're being sneaky beaky, you're going to get down low, get right up that corner and peer around it. Yeah, so you're now going to be kneeling on a load of spiky nails coming up for a piece of wood. But as I say, that really is only for situations where there are no rules of law. Yeah, don't do it in civilian times when everything is hunky-dory. You could also dig holes and cover them up. Yeah, so if anyone does come over, they go down the hole, twist an ankle, etc. So that just delays, they've breached your perimeter, and that is just delaying them coming towards your property. And then finally, we've got item 5, which is defend. Yeah, and that really, there isn't much to say about that. It is your most inner ring of your security. It's going to be there at the door of your property, and by now you should be engaging them, either yourself or your security team, or as it stands by informing the police, and hopefully let them deal with the matter. So anyway, that's it, the 5 Ds of security. It's a little bit like an onion, it's multi-layered, they all work together. I appreciate that there may well be a lot of people that don't have actually land around their property. You have to adapt it to your needs. If, for instance, you live in a flat or an apartment, then you're not going to be able to do much to the perimeter because it's not yours, it's shared or whatever. You might have a stairway that is just yours, so that you can think about doing something with that. Yeah, even a driveway alarm of some sort will probably work in that situation to give you advance notice of people coming up. Or you have to look at it that your street door or your main door of your flat is now your outer perimeter. Yeah, and then you're going to then put layers inside your property from your street door back to what you're going to class as your safe room. Yeah, so as I say, it's not going to cover everyone, but the principles are there. So that's it really, short and sweet. If you found the video useful, then please consider subscribing. If you did like it, give us a thumbs up, and if there's anything you want to discuss, and I would like to see your comments, stick them below. Have a great day. Thank you.